I was looking at my channel and I just realized I don't think I've ever actually done a deck tier list for Pocket. I feel like I remember I low-key did one back in the day, but I either just didn't see it or maybe I just never actually finished it and uploaded it. Anyways, I think it's finally time. Eevee's Grove, we have the new set that's supposed to come out on the 30th, so we have 13 more days. So we have 2 weeks left of this meta. Honestly, there's been almost no meta development, bro, for the season, so I feel like I can make a pretty accurate tier list, at least at the time of recording. Let's get into it. So for the tiers, we have S+, we have S, which is GooGoo Gaga tier. I think you guys already know where he's going in that. We have A, B, C, might make some tiers in between as we go on. And then we just at the bottom, we have YouTube content, which I just changed to not really play it anymore or just bad decks. So S+, I think everybody already knows what it is, bro. It's been dominating since the beginning of the season. We have Sylveon Greninja, bro. This deck just has everything. It has Greninja. It has Sylveon to draw. Well, it has Greninja to ping the back, have access to Cyrus. You know, that additional 20 damage a turn. Possibly 40 because it is very easy to get 2 Greninjas. You know, Sylveon drawing the whole deck. You have, like I said, double Cyrus. You also have Giratina to charge up because you are playing a dual water and psychic. Yeah, so this deck has a 130 attacker. You know, sometimes 150 to 170. It has very fast early aggression with both Sylveon and Greninja either doing 80 or something like Sylveon doing 70. I almost just said Sylveon's name for 70, but yeah, this deck just kind of has early aggression. It draws the whole deck, red cards you, double Cyrus, Giratina. It just has everything. The only thing the deck is really lacking is like defense technically, but like Sylveon is, because it's an EX Pokemon, has 140 HP. It usually is going to take 2 hits for most things, dude. Especially like in the first 2 turns. Plus, you know, they do run a Giant Cape, even if Sylveon might not, the Giant Cape probably allows it to. And yeah, it's just a very fast-paced deck, man, and it's very broken, very annoying. You know, Sylveon draws the whole deck, is what it is. Everybody knows about this deck. Let's just move on to GooGoo Gaga. So by the way, this tier list is going to be for ranked, because you know, ranked in tournaments do vary. Because for example, Charizard is all right, not the best tournament, but in ranked pro, oh my god, this deck is so sleep, bro. This deck is so easy. I believe anybody, if they just have the time, they can get top 1000, bro. I swear to god. What is this deck? Sylveon Turbos Charizard. You stoke first 1 or 2 turns, and the only thing that really gives you trouble is going to be an Oricorio. However, they are slotting in that Flareon. So I've seen some people just taking it out and then accepting an L for Oricorio, but you can't play Flareon also to be able to actually beat the unwinnable matchup. Just stoke Charizard. You get it out faster than ever before. And 180 HP. Rule number 1 of Pocket. Stoke Charizard players always have access to Lily. No matter if you Mars or red card them, they always have it in their hand. So even though they have to take a turn in the Stoke, they always just have a Lily to heal up 60 HP. They always have that Giant Cape, or they just have the Sylveons to draw the whole deck to find those pieces. So it's the easiest deck we've probably ever seen that's been like this top tier of a meta. I feel like I worded that so bad, but you know what it is, bro. And let's just go on to the next deck. So just real quick, let's just filter out some of these bad decks. Like for example, I'm sorry, bro. Decidueye, you're cucked, bro. You're not good. Even if you were, like, Flareon kind of cooks you as well, which kind of sucks. So Flareon Torkoal, like, it's not bad, but it's like, if there was a D, I would probably put it in the D, because it's not as bad. I don't think it's as bad as Pheromosa Decidueye. Like, Pheromosa Decidueye can be an anti-meta deck for certain decks, but it's really not that good, bro. No one really plays it. We have stuff like Stoutland Charizard. And I'm just going to be basically ranking the decks that are actually being played at like the top 5,000, top 1,000. So like, yeah, Stoutland Charizard, you probably can cook with it, bro. Like if you are playing it, but at the same time, it's just not consistent. It's not that good. And just Sylveon Charizard is literally just better, bro. Primarina sucks, bro. I tried this, dude. I wanted to play Primarina. Huge hater of Primarina in the main games. I don't like how the Pokemon looks. I think it's hideous. It is literally just a better Venusaur that has to access the Misty and Irida. I wanted to try it. This deck fucking sucks, dude. I do not care. Primarina is terrible. Don't let anybody gas you. Yes, you can high roll Primarina, get a Misty flip, or if you go second, it can be really good for Rare Candy. But besides that, dude, it's just not good. It doesn't have high enough damage at end game. So unless you god roll early, it's just not good. And plus, you know, Greninja 2 stage, people are not even playing Greninja Fed, bro. So yeah, it's just terrible. Stoutland Espeon, no one's playing this. Flareon Turtonator, no one's really playing that anyways. It's just no one's playing it, bro. No one's just playing it. What else is there that can just be put in this tier? Yeah, dude, I'm gonna be honest, bro. This relay stuff is not good. I don't care. You could find me in the comments. It's not that good. We also have like this like pair Sylveon Rampardos deck. It's actually, it's not that good. I don't think it's that good. I just don't see a reason you'd play this over the Garchomp version. So I'm just, it's just, that's why I also have like not really played this. Nobody plays this. It was like a 1 or 2 day thing. It's just not really good anymore. Shiinotic Magnezone also just does not, I mean, theoretically it's like not bad, bro. Darkrai Umbreon is just also not played. I think that's most of them, so we actually like go back to like the top tiers. So Darkrai-Giratina, I'm gonna put an A. I think it's a very solid deck. This deck does not die. It's literally the LeBron, the Pokemon Pocket. It has been at least A every single season since this came out, if not S tier. Reason I'm not putting it in S just because I feel like there are some decks that can give a problem. And plus, you know, I just feel like a turn, like, okay, these other guys are just like very aggressive with Sylveon. So like Sylveon and Greninja, like if they go second, they get Greninja, they have access to Cyruses and all that stuff. I don't see them really beating you, man. Like I really just don't. Stoke Charizard like going first, bro. Like how are you gonna beat that deck? If you don't have a giant cape to let something live, you literally just die so fast. Like you can't set up Giratina, you can't set up Darkrai fast enough. So I think Darkrai Giratina can be both of these decks at the top. I just think these decks are so fast paced that sometimes Darkrai Giratina just gets outpaced because it's gonna take you 3 turns minimum to set up something. So going first sometimes can be a very bad downside depending on what deck you are facing. You know, Oricorio obviously can give you a little bit of trouble, but people are playing stuff like Double Rocky Helmet again because most Oricorio decks don't run Guzma. Although I expect Oricorio decks to hopefully adapt to the meta and start playing that so they can be Darkrai Giratina, which should be a free matchup in theory. And yeah, I think it's good, bro. I just think the decks above it are just better. That's just as is what it is, bro. Next up, we're gonna have actually Solgaleo. So Solgaleo, Sylveon, I think is very strong. So Leftovers was a huge buff because Leftovers lets you actually live a Charizard attack. Because obviously you damage yourself after attacking, so you'd be at 170. Charizard obviously does 170 because of the weakness. Or like Solgaleo takes 150 or 170 because of the weakness. And Leftovers lets you heal that damage, so you won't die. You can then use Lily, so you can actually attack Charizard twice, be able to knock it out. You know, if they don't have like Lily Giant Cape, I'm pretty sure then they can live that, but hopefully you have a red or something. And yeah, it's a very fast-paced Solgaleo deck. It's very good in everything else besides Zard and like Flareon and Leafeon. But you tech in Mercurnia, so you can deal with Oricorio, and you play 2 Sabrinas, man, and you just get around everything. And I think it's a very strong deck. We're already talking about Solgaleo, so I'm gonna put Solgaleo Shiinotic in B. I think it is still good. I think the problem with Solgaleo Shiinotic is that it takes a little bit too long sometimes to set up, and we're in a very fast-paced meta. So I think Sylveon, to be able to try to turbo into a Rare Candy / Solgaleo, I think is just more consistent right now. Like obviously, you know, Solgaleo in the long run is more consistent because you are guaranteed to get a Pokemon, so you're guaranteed to get Cosmoem in the Solgaleo. You also thin out the deck pretty good. However, it's just a little bit too slow for the current format, but I still think it is a very strong Solgaleo variant, and I feel like you could still definitely have success. Also, obviously the downside of Shiinotic over Sylveon as well is that Shiinotic has a 2 retreat cost. Obviously not something you usually not retreating because Solgaleo switches in for free, but for example, if you were trying to set up a Mercurnia, you'd have to use 4 energy to swap out a Shiinotic in the active, whereas Sylveon, you know, you only need 3, 2 on Mercurnia and the 1 on the Sylveon. So just like a little niche thing that can come up in certain scenarios and certain matchups. All right, okay, so I'm looking at some other decks, man. I'm gonna say it, bro. Buzzwole is still a very strong deck. The only problem that Buzzwole now faces is that it actually has bad matchups besides just Savali Stoke Charizard. Wow, who would have thought a deck could actually have some bad matchups? So obviously you still have Pheromosa, Erica, Lusamine, Celesteela, and even Cortana, a Leaf Cape as well. The deck just has like every good card. Like there's just no bad card in the deck. Like Buzzwole, the only problem with Buzzwole is that, you know, it is the HP not as high as you want, can get mopped by Flareon, bro, but at the same time, like, it's just a bad matchup. It's just simply a bad matchup, and it is what it is. And it's still strong, bro. Like it's still doing everything it did last season. It's just not as powerful because it has some bad matchups, so it's not as consistent. You know, you can't just like solo queue Buzzwole only. I mean, you still could, and if you get the bad matchups, you get the bad matchups. But like Stoke Zard is being played a lot, and it's not an unwinnable matchup, bro, but I'm gonna be honest, bro. Nah, it's low-key almost unwinnable, bro, just because you have Sylveon now. Like they always just have Lily. Like, because before you were like, it was possible to beat Stoke Zard with Buzzwole if they simply just didn't have Lily, but it's so fucking hard for them just not to have it anymore, man. Like, even if you're red card on Mars, you might just Mars them into the Lily, or like a Sylveon if they have an Eevee on the bench. So yeah, you have like Zard and then flareon to worry about. And besides that, I mean, Buzzwole's still a good deck. I actually think Seagoon just made a post, unless he was lying about the deck, but he was using Buzzwole for like a 14 win streak, and he's the #1 player at like 6,000 points. So I think the deck might be good, boys. I think the deck might be good. Next up, we're gonna have Solgaleo Oricorio. I think the deck is very strong. You know, you have Zoroark, so you could theoretically have the Dawn play like turn 1 if you go type null with Solgaleo, but you do need a lot of cards for that to go right. But it does happen. The reason this deck is good, Oricorio is just really good. I mean, Oricorio literally walls off Charizard, which is like one of the most played decks, or was, at least when I'm recording this. It's like the deck I see the most common. And like, yeah, they have answers to that, but like you also just have Solgaleo to be able to beat the Flareon. Although, you know, Flareon does one-shot Solgaleo, so you probably would run like a giant cape, which I think this deck does run like 1. But it's pretty good, man. It's just pretty good. Oricorio is just very strong. Solgaleo is very good. And then Zoroark, you know, just for the energy generation, because everything is a 2 energy. It's nice for like a Zoroark to be like a, you know, going first, just attacking also, bro. Yeah, it's just nice that Zoroark has like the Dawn plays. It's just another Pokemon that it can attack that only needs 1 energy basically, unless you don't start with it. It's also been like doing very good at tournaments since like the very beginning of the set. It was also very good last set, so just one of those decks just kind of like stayed. So next up we're gonna have Greninja or Oricorio. So there's like kind of like 2 versions. There's the version that is like kind of like a hybrid of Sylveon Greninja with Oricorio, or there's just like pure Greninja Oricorio. I think it's still good, bro. Same reason, Oricorio is very strong. Greninja is also very powerful because it allows you, you know, just the additional 20 damage plus the access to Cyrus, and you know, usually Giratina as that nice attacker. Dude, it's one of the best Oricorio decks. Like, it's just very strong. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, it's just Oricorio but better because you have the Greninja being able to snipe stuff for the additional damage. So like theoretically, like Stoke Zards, they can stall a little bit with the Lilies, but like if you have the Greninja pings that add up, you will be able to knock them out faster, so they won't be able to set up Flareon maybe fast enough, or you could even just ping the Flareon in or the Eevee before they can set up and then just knock it out of Oricorio. So I think it's a strong deck, whether it's played without Sylveon or Sylveon, and I'm gonna put it in A, bro. Some people might disagree, but I'm seeing these top level players still use that, bro, especially the Japanese ones. So I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I'm just gonna tell you guys my honest opinion. We have Dogger Snorlax, which I'm gonna just yeah, just no. I didn't even see that, bro. It's not good. It's just not good. It could be funny though, but so we have Solo Incineroar. I'm gonna put Solo Incineroar as like a C tier deck. So it was one of those decks that was pretty good at streaking at the very beginning of the format, and because it has because of the win streaks and because of the potential to high roll, it could almost be a B deck just because Incineroar of How is way better than without when I had How. But the problem is we have a lot more Oricorio decks. Like, yeah, you can still beat Oricorios with like the Rocky Helmets and the burn damage. I don't know. It's just like a lot of Oricorios, kind of annoying matchups, and a lot of decks are just faster. So if you don't God roll, you just kind of can't do anything. Like, for example, Charizard or Greninja, bro, like they go, I don't know, man. It's just like, you got to God roll with the deck. It's just too luck dependent. And you don't really have any consistency cards besides Professor Research and I don't know, maybe, and like Praying. So I'm gonna put it in C. Like I said, very good streaking, good high roll deck, but at the end of the day, bro, it's not really that played. Snorlax, yeah, I could just go there. All right, so we have some pretty interesting decks. Dragonite, bro, I'm sorry, man, but you're just not. I'll put Dragonite C, man. Like, it can cook. Like, it definitely can cook, but it's like, it's not consistent. It's just not consistent. I'll put it in C, though, because I would rather play Dragonite than, like, Primarina, for example, and, like, most of these decks down here. Like, I could probably put, like, Darkrai-Umbreon here, too, because, like, no, it's not. It's pretty bad. I'm not even gonna gaslight myself or like anybody. It's just not good. And nobody's playing it, bro. Like you might see it here and there, bro. Like low Master Ball, maybe Ultra Ball. It had like that 1 or 2 tournament like top 64s, but besides that, bro, nobody's playing it. Sylveon. So like the Sylveon Espeon deck, like it's all right, man. I'm gonna be real. It's not that good because this deck going second, low key A tier. This deck going first sucks. It's pretty bad. I'm gonna put it in C because if you do go second and because you have, you know, the double Sylveons, you can do a lot of damage. It's just a lot of setup when other decks just kind of do that without the setup. I think you could do like 110 damage if you just have 2 evolutions, but I don't know, man. It's just very inconsistent. Like I said, bro, going first really does suck because everything's 2 energy besides Espeon, and Espeon's not good early game unless there's like a Giratina down with like. Yeah, so I'm gonna put it in C. I still think it's better than the decks not played. It was one of those like week 1 decks that kind of just fizzled out, but I would still rather play it honestly than a lot of these decks just not played. So I'm gonna put it here. We also have Solgaleo which is like, I don't know, bro. It's not bad in theory because I played this deck last season. This is actually the deck I played to get in the 1900s. I was like stuck in the 1800s with Guzzlord for like 2 days. I switched to Darkrai-Giratina, not Darkrai-Giratina, but Solgaleo-Giratina, and it was actually pretty good. Like it was nothing. It was just a Solgaleo deck of Giratina. It was cool. I had a Japanese homie who put me onto it, and you know what? I went on like an 8-win streak. I haven't really played it this season, nor have I seen it, but I still think it's better than the decks down there. Because at the end of the day, you know, you can go second with Solgaleo. You do have access to Giratina Dawn, possibly kind of like same thing as this Aurora. So if you do go first, you might have like the God combo and be able to do something with that. At the end of the day, it is Solgaleo, so Solgaleo can carry a deck. So I'm gonna put it in C. Probably would like, I feel like if there was like a D, maybe, bro, like I'd like maybe just let me just add a D, man. So I could put some of these decks. Like I'm gonna put these in like D. And maybe even Dragon Knight could be D, dude. And they're all right, but they're nothing crazy. They're not going to be consistent. They're going to win you games, you know, at times, but they're not going to be like really strong meta decks. Next up, we have Eevee Box. Eevee Box is very good. The really only bad matchup, in my personal opinion, I would say is going to be Zard. I feel like that is very, very, very hard to win that matchup. Besides that, I feel like it is very good. You know, also can struggle into these Oricorio decks, but you do have either Leafeon or the Genetic Apex Flareon to be able to get around that. Eevee Bag is a very busted item. It's either a Geo or a potion. Flareon is very good for like everything else. Like Flareon basically one-shot stuff, or if either Eevee Bags or the red. So yeah, it's just a very powerful deck where you have the early aggressive Leafeon, you have the Oricorio text, you even have Sylveons because you are playing so many Eevees to draw cards. Deck just kind of has everything besides like a very tanky card. Because the highest HP you have in the deck is going to be 170, but your Flareon is going to take damage, so it's going to be 150, which is like a pretty decent, you know, it's a decent number, but at the same time, like a lot of things can hit that 150 number, bro, very easily. So the only thing this deck is missing is like a very big defensive tank. We also have Flareon Solgaleo, bro. I'll put it in a B. I think it's fine. Maybe I'll put it in C. I think it's good. I just think the other Solgaleo variants are better. And I feel like Flareon is better utilized in the Leafeon deck, just because Leafeon can like charge it up. You know, you have the combination of the Eevee bags, where like you don't really have that synergy because you really don't want to be playing Eevee bag in a Solgaleo deck, because you know that Solgaleo is an item card, so they don't take any advantage from having that in the deck. I can't speak today, bro, but you guys get what I mean. Garchomp. I think Garchomp is a solid B tier deck. Actually, I'm gonna put Solgaleo in like C tier. Yeah, I think Garchomp is a very strong deck. It is one of the ones that I've used the most, and I think it's strong. You know, it's pretty decent against Greninja, Sylveon, Giratina. Very bad matchup into Zard unless you're like God Roll or they brick. Or like Rampardos, or you know, you can get like an early KO on an Eevee. So the problem is like Zard, Buzzwole, which I feel like is starting to come back, and I feel like the Leafeon Flareon deck is bad. So like I think Zard is very strong because it's very good into the Oricorio decks, which there are a lot of Oricorio decks right now. But the problem is it has some rough matchups. Can be bad against Solgaleo if you don't get Rampardos, just because Garchomp does take 3 turns to be able to get online. But it could be all right. Like it's not like I wouldn't say Solgaleo was a losing matchup. I think it's more of like a slightly losing, or like maybe even, if anything. Kind of just depends, you know, if you prick with these Skull Fossils. But I think it has some bad matchups. So I'm going to put it in B. Still a very strong deck, but I just feel like consistency wise, you are playing a fossil at the end of the day. And like I said, some losing matchups can make it a little bit rough to be very consistent with this deck. Kind of similar. I'm going to put Sylveon Magnezone. I think this is a very strong deck. This is also a deck I played a lot. I think, you know, Sylveon. So I've seen like 2 variants. There's like variants that play dual energy that have Oricorio. I've seen some paired to Sylveon and Magnezone decks. I've also seen like this Jolteon thing popping around, which can be cool. But I personally, I like Sylveon Magnezone, just kind of that without Oricorio, just because, or like going first with Oricorio, it sucks, especially because not like Oricorio isn't good in every matchup. So starting first sometimes can be bad, especially if you do want to start collecting with Eevee, because you do need Magneton very early with this deck. So that's why I'm putting in a B, because even with Sylveon and the collect Eevee, sometimes you just don't find those Magnetons, bro, because you simply get unlucky, and you don't have like rare candy. You can't use like rare candy to skip the Magnezone. I just like it. I think having the ability to attack with Sylveon is cool. You're charging up a Magnezone in the back. I think it's very powerful. You can slot some tech options like either the Jolteon because you know you're already playing Eevees, or you cancel out an Oricorio for some certain matchups. And I think those refined additions, kind of just up to you. Yeah, I don't know, man. I just feel like even though with Sylveon, you got to find those Magnetons early, and if you don't, it can be a struggle. And that's the only downside, man. That's really the only downside. Plus you also need Giant Cape to live some hits, so that's something. And Greninja can easily just like snipe you guys and then bring them in, and then boom, before you even go in the Magnet Zone too. So kind of like a Greninja is very annoying for this deck. And Magnet Zone also like doesn't usually one shot something, so you have to like do like previous like damage. So yeah. I just noticed that we have another Greninja Oricorio, bro. So I'm gonna put it just next to the other one. I don't know where we have two of them. This is probably like one version is probably like the Sylveon version, then one version is probably like Pear. But I mean, I already talked about both of them when I was talking about the first one I put, so I'll just put them next to each other. Magneton Shiinotic, I think is just a little bit too slow. Like I said, for this format, kind of the same thing with Solgaleo, or at least like Solgaleo, you know, you can't attack with 2 energy. Like you need Magneton, so if you don't get the Magneton early, Magneton is basically useless. Not only that, Shiinotic, you know, being 2 energy to be able to retreat is like a very bad downside. So I'm putting it in D because it can still be all right. I just think the Sylveon version is better. Literally the exact same thing with the Solgaleo deck. Next we have Guzzlord and Nihilego. I think it's a very fine deck, man. I think it's very strong, whether you're playing Noggendel or just pure Nihilego. I think it's good. I think it can struggle in some certain matchups, and you also kind of just need a, you know, your opponent can be smart, because even with the poison barbs, you're going to be wanting to charge up the Guzzlord. The problem with charging up the Guzzlord is Greninja can just snipe you twice. They bring in the Giratina, boom. And if you, for example, bring in another Guzzlord from your hand, Lusamine, that is only 3 energy, so you are going to be relying on a Grindcore. Very good in the Charizard though, that is what I will say. Guzzlord has always been good in the Stoke Charizard, so that's cool. Although it was better against Stoke Charizard when they didn't get it by turn 2 consistently. So even though it's a good matchup, it might actually not be that bad anymore for Charizard, because you really do need those setup turns. Like you need like 1 or 2 setup turns before they go on the Charizard with Guzzlord to be able to beat that matchup very easily. And you could always Grindcore them, so that is always an option, but it's like the last resort. I think it's fine, bro. I think it's cool. It also could possibly be an A deck, but I'm not too familiar with it. And I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like I don't think it's as strong as it was last season. I think Guzzlord really took advantage of, actually, bro, hold up. It might be A. I'm going to put a B. I just really don't like the Greninja Sylveon matchup personally. So I'm going to put it in B because of that factor. I'm someone who played Guzzlord a lot last season, and I played it this season, and I just really don't. I really don't like the Sylveon Greninja matchup, bro. So that is my main issue. So that's why I'm gonna put it on B, just because I feel like it has a little bit of trouble against like the best deck. Besides that, I think it's like very decent into also your Solgaleo can give you some trouble also, depending on how fast they get that. And then pretty good in the Oricorio stuff. And Leafeon and Flareon can be interesting because they can do a lot of damage to you, bro. It actually can one-shot Guzzlord. So I'm gonna put a B, bro. I think it's fine. If I was ordering stuff, I probably would put it above Garchomp. Maybe Garchomp is better. I don't know, man. This is just the way I view the game. I think anything B and up is very good. I think C is when you're starting to get to those I don't know if I should really be playing these decks, but maybe they're fun, so that's why I'm playing them. But I think anything B and up is like viable in top 1000. We have Lucario and Rampardos. I'm gonna put it in C. I think it's a very good anti-meta for Oricorio. Can be very good into Charizard if you do draw Rampardos. Besides that, Sylveon Greninja just eats this deck for breakfast. So does Savali. So does Buzzwole. So does probably Solgaleo, bro. And probably even the Eevee Box deck as well. So I'm gonna just put it in C. I think it's cool. I think it's a like little niche anti-meta deck, but I don't think it's gonna be anything crazy in this meta. I definitely don't believe it's a B deck. We also have Savali Rampardos. I'm gonna put it in A. I was kind of debating. I was like, man, should I put it in B? Just because it is inconsistent. But now I think Savali is very strong. And I think Rampardos is just a very strong attacker as well. And yeah, everybody knows what it does, bro. Okay, so I'm not gonna order this stuff. Is there anything I want to order down here? Like probably Magnezone Shiinotic is better than Dragonite. Like probably like something like this. I don't really think any like okay. Do I want to order A? I think everything else is fine. Like I think all these decks are whatever, bro. I think B is ordered. Like Garchomp might be better than Guzzlord at the end of the day, but I think there are some weaknesses. Plus, you know, it can be inconsistent even with Sylveon. I think Darkrai-Giratina is very good. Solgaleo is good. Buzzwole. Probably like this and then Buzzwole, maybe like that. Maybe like just because I think the Flareon has a very bad matchup in this order. I'm gonna put the end. Who really cares about the order, to be honest? Like I said, B and above, that's why I even renamed it. Any of these decks and above I think are very strong. I just think these 3 decks have a little bit more weaknesses than these A tier decks. Like, low-key, even the Eevee Box deck actually could be a B tier deck. It could be a B tier deck, and that's solely because I think this matchup is very bad for it. But I think it's fine. I think it's fine in A. And like maybe even these B decks, bro, could just go to A. Like maybe, for example, I could just do like B plus. Maybe like do these B and then just have this being C. Like maybe I could just do that as well. At the end of the day, who cares, bro? This is why it's hard for me to do a deck tier list, because I feel like the way I view the game and I feel like the way I could describe is like, I don't know, maybe I'm not making sense. I'm probably just yapping and you guys are like, you just spent 30 minutes, you didn't talk about anything. Just notice we are missing 2 decks. We were missing Tapu Koko and then we were missing Luxray. So I think Tapu Koko is a very solid B plus deck. I think it is very strong. This is Tapu Koko, Oricorio, Zoroark, Arceus. And like I said, I've been saying, bro, Oricorio is very strong. And this is the main reason. You have different engines. You have like, use pure Oricorio Zoroark, bro, which is mainly like a package in almost like every Oricorio deck. So you have like those 50 attackers. You have the aggressive with Tapu Koko being able to do 90 by the next attack. And then you have like the Arceus for the nice 130 damage. I think it's just very strong, bro. Takes advantage of stuff like Solgaleo, Charizard. And I would say it has a very, like, you know, because you have Tapu Koko, and because Tapu Koko doesn't get one shot by a Solgaleo unless they have a red, I think it's way better into the Magernia version. So I think it's a solid B plus deck, but I think it's very good. I'm not going to put it in A, just because Sylveon, Greninja and like stuff like Savali, Rampardos can give you some trouble. Plus, you just the volley decks in general. And then we have the Luxray. I'm going to put this as a B tier deck. I think it's cool. I think it's another Oricorio deck, but I just think the Tapu Koko and Savali version / Greninja is just better. So in terms of Oricorio, like meta relevant versions, is probably the least strong one. So that's just the 2 final decks that were not on this tier list. I think that's like every meta deck now that's like actually like relevant. Maybe I'm missing one still, but yeah, anyways, I think that does it for the tier list. I hope I was able to explain everything in my head and make sense. If not, hopefully at least the tier list, you know, could be useful for you, and hopefully you guys can take this tier list, see like, okay, well, these are the best decks, let me just pick one of them, let me find a good deck profile, win some ranked games, and that would be the best case scenario, man. So peace out, have a lovely day, and I hope you don't burn.